Tonight, President Barack Obama says Republicans are playing on fear to score political points. This after 30 governors say they will not allow Syrian refugees in their states.
He told me he killed someone, and he even brought it up on the internet for me to look at.
And you might remember this man from a KHQA report last year. He was convicted of a crime that went unsolved in Adams County for 23 years. Now he faces charges in Kentucky. We'll tell you why.
I'm tracking the next weather system to affect the tri-states. That and more now on KHQA News at 6.
This is KHQA News at 6, working for you.
Good evening, everyone. KHQA is working for you to bring the latest major developments related to terrorism around the world and in our new segment.
Jonathan Elias in Washington has the latest from our Terrorism Alert Desk.
Jonathan Elias at the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington. The suspected ringleader, Abdelhamid Ababoud, of the Paris attack was not arrested in the massive police raid north of the capital, but could be among those killed. 2 other people were killed, 7 others arrested. The French prosecutor's office also says that the raid came just in the nick of time, thwarting another attack that they believe was going to target the business district of Paris. And the Islamic State's official magazine is claiming that this, or something very much like it, is the bomb that brought down the Russian jetliner over Egypt's Sinai Peninsula back on October 31st. The image, as you can see, is a bomb hidden inside of a soda can. And this to report to you, members of the band Eagles of Death Metal say they are home safe in the United States. The band was performing at the Batlakan Concert Hall during the attack. They say that they are absolutely devastated. I'm Jonathan Elias at the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington.
Well, it is the election season, and heated words have been exchanged between the president and Republicans over what to do with the Syrian refugee crisis.
National correspondent Jeff Barnes gets reaction after President Obama blasted several governors and lawmakers criticizing his plan to take in Syrian refugees.
President Barack Obama, traveling in the Philippines, railed against Republicans opposing his Syrian refugee resettlement plan.
They're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America. They've been playing on fear in order to try to score political points or to advance their campaigns.
This after presidential candidate Chris Christie stated the United States should not accept any Syrian refugees, including young orphans. And fellow presidential candidates Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz peddled proposals to employ religious tests during the vetting process.
Come back and insult me to my face. Let's have a debate on Syrian refugees right now. We can do it anywhere you want.
I think the president is grasping. The president is looking to distract the American people from the problems that he's created by his lack of decisive decisions in the foreign policy arena.
But Homeland Security Chief Jay Johnson defends the current Syrian refugee program.
And we have prioritized for resettlement the most vulnerable of Syrian refugees, which means women, children, and families.
Yet in Paris, a woman blew herself up during a major police raid as they were targeting the suspected mastermind behind the Paris attacks last week.
The woman who blew herself up outside of the French apartment this morning was indeed doing so out of an attempt to attack.
Meantime, roughly 2,000 refugees are already in the U.S. And if the president's plan remains, the U.S. will take in about 10,000 more in 2016. On Capitol Hill, I'm Jeff Barnes.
And on the House floor today, House Speaker Paul Ryan said he'd introduce measures to effectively pause the Syrian refugee plan this week.
Meanwhile, Missouri Governor Jay Nixon has remained neutral on Syrian refugees. Nixon has not banned the immigrants from Missouri borders. He says screening the refugees is the federal government's job. But the Missouri Democrat has called for safeguards following the deadly terror attacks in Paris.
Roles of states, while important, are not primary here. That's something that the federal government has. So we've focused the most of our attention on making sure that Missourians are kept safe by making sure that our federal partners do their job and do it well.
According to a federal database, 29 Syrian refugees have settled in Missouri so far this year.
And Iowa's Catholic bishops are asking Governor Terry Branstad to reconsider his stance on accepting and placing those refugees. This follows Governor Branstad's announcement Monday about joining the list of governors attempting to block migrating Syrians following those recent terrorist attacks. The bishops place welcoming the homeless and aiding the vulnerable as a, quote, fundamental part of their faith.
Now, your exclusive 7 Storm Team forecast.
And we saw cooler, cloudy conditions today as cold air moved in from the west. Highs were set early this morning and the temperature has been dropping through the afternoon. And now we look at the evening conditions. Temperatures have fallen into the upper 40s here in Quincy. That wind, another big story as well. Currently southwest at 15 miles per hour and a little warmer out to our east where we saw some sunshine earlier today. But temperatures are beginning to fall everywhere. Still in the lower 50s out in Jacksonville and Pittsfield. The rest of us seeing temperatures in the mid to upper 40s. There's the satellite and radar. Starting to see those clouds thin out just a little bit here, and they're going to continue to do so through the nighttime hours. I think those showers will stay to our north and will continue to stay dry. Temperatures will fall with those clearing skies, however, and will drop down to 41 degrees here in Quincy. That wind will stick around from the west, but by between 10 and 15 miles per hour. And tomorrow, more sunshine is on the way. Although it's going to be on the chilly side, temperatures will struggle to get into the upper 40s. And I'll have more about another powerful system taking aim on the tri-states and what it means for our weather coming up in my full forecast in just a few minutes. Ross, Raja?
An update to a KHQA special report we first brought you last summer. You might remember the case of Marvin the Mummy. It involved a man's body being dumped in rural Adams County in the 1980s and going undiscovered for months. Now, after he was found, that case went unsolved for 23 years. Well, the case centers on this man, 55-year-old Wallace Spence. He was the one who killed the man that was found in 1985, but didn't confess to the crime until 2008. Well, tonight we take you to Ashland, Kentucky, where Spence again is making headlines. It turns out that when a friend of his learned of his troubled past in Adams County, Spence nearly killed again last week. In this KHQA exclusive, the woman who found herself held up at gunpoint by Wallace Spence speaks out.
He got off on top of me and put the gun to my face.
Lisa Compton still in disbelief over how close she came to losing her life.
Tried not to show him that I was afraid.
She first met Wallace Spence a few weeks ago.
We was raised always to help people in need.
He told her he had nowhere to stay, so she let him sleep on her couch. It was then when he confessed to her he had served time for killing somebody in 1984.
He told me he killed someone and he even brought it up on the internet for me to look at.
She later told him he could no longer stay at her house in Ashland and stopped answering his phone calls. Friday, she says he came in through the window while she was in bed and pointed a gun at her.
I was laying right there and he came in here and jumped on top of me and had the gun in my face. And I told him, "You want to kill me? Go ahead and kill me."
Apparently, stunned by her response, he turned the gun on himself.
I didn't want him to kill himself on my bed.
Without Spence noticing, she dialed 911.
I said gun so that 911 would know that there's a situation.
She says she managed to grab his gun and throw it in the backyard. The two wrestled, and when he heard police sirens approaching, Spence grabbed the gun and took off. Compton is grateful she escaped with her life and now praying that Spence is caught before he thinks about coming back. Now, Lisa Compton's prayers have been answered. We've learned that Wallace Spence now is in custody in Kentucky after turning himself in within the last couple of hours. Now, to read more about Spence's connections to the tri-states, we've posted our original story about Marvin the Mummy online at KHQA.com. Meanwhile, a Montrose, Iowa couple might be able to breathe a little easier after hearing back from the Kia company Roquette about the dumping of foul-smelling waste across the street from their home. In a follow-up to a story we first brought you last week, Roquette says the waste is a byproduct that local farmers use as a natural fertilizer. Roquette found the company that applies that waste is operating within its permit. However, Roquette goes on to say, quote, "Roquette is committed to being a good neighbor and will contact Mr. and Mrs. K to discuss the issue and answer any questions they may have." Roquette will also work with the land application company and area farmers to evaluate potential solutions to reduce associated odor generation when applying that fertilizer to the fields.
We all know that the cold weather can be hard on your vehicles. So how can we winterize and save money in the long run? I'm Abigail James with that report coming up.
You're watching KHQA News at 6, working for you.
Last year, AAA estimated it served more than 1 million drivers during peak holiday travel time. That's between December 23rd and January 4th.
Now, as you travel to visit your family and friends this holiday season, it's also important to make sure your car is cold weather ready. Let's bring in KHQA's Abigail James joining us live from the KHQA parking lot. Abby, you spoke with the service department of a local car dealership today. What did you find out about vehicle winterization?
That's right. It's important to do these things early because, especially given that we live in the Midwest, we have no idea how quickly this weather is going to turn into snow. So to avoid being stranded in the dark on the side of a lonely highway this cold season, it's important to follow these few tips.
When it comes to winterizing your car, there are several tips to keep in mind. Service director at Pogue Dealership in Hannibal, Joe Williams, says first thing is first, get an engine checkup.
A lot of it is a freeze, of course. A lot of situations we come into is the antifreeze, the coolant. Well, it's considered antifreeze in the wintertime. We recommend minus 35 degrees. And, not having that protection, you could cause, damage to the radiator, the engine block, situations like that.
It is also important to have a professional check the strength of your battery.
Cold weather really takes a toll on your battery. All these little shops and, us as well, we have battery testers and a lot of your oil change places that do it for no charge. So it's best to have it tested for your cold cranking amps to see it's ready for cold weather.
Next, do away with those dull wipers. Not only are they just annoying, but they are dangerous. And since we're on the topic of windshield wipers, it's also a good idea to update your fluid.
When you go to the retail stores, you'll find the fluid. It's going to say winter formula. And it's going to have a minus degree to actually go and protect and not freeze.
Also, pay attention to the pressure in your tires as it tends to drop in cold weather. And if the tread on your tires are worn down, have them replaced. Williams says these tips are important to ensure your car's reliability.
Cold weather takes a big toll on the auto, on all vehicles. And if they're not well protected and prepared, it could be costly.
Another great tip is to be sure that you have one of these emergency kits in the back of your car. You can get them at your local Walmart, your local service repair shop, but they have jump cables in here, they have a flashlight, they even have an emergency poncho. And another great thing is to make sure that you have a blanket. I don't know about you guys, but I know for me, I'm always freezing. And if I got stuck on the side of the road with no heat in the car, if I did not have a blanket, I don't know what I would do. So do make sure you have one of these blankets. Reporting live in Quincy, Abigail James, KHQA News.
And from tips for your car to tips at the post office, big reminder this holiday season, be sure to mail those packages ahead of time to avoid any delays. Douglas Smith with the post office in Quincy says now is the best time to start sending those packages. He says priority mail and express services usually run 2 to 3 days on average up until Christmas. Smith says people who use standard shipping might see a delay of 2 weeks the longer you wait until Christmas. He says make sure everything is in order to avoid delays and long lines.
Packages need to be properly packaged, properly taped with tape, proper packaging tape, and we need addresses on them, from and to full addresses.
And from Thanksgiving to Christmas Eve, the U.S. Postal Service ships millions of pieces of mail every single day.
Some of us might see those snowflakes in the forecast. I'll show you where and when. That's coming up next.
Now, your exclusive 7 Storm Team forecast.
Look outside the studio, look at a little windy out there, and we've seen that wind really throughout the afternoon and the evening hours today. Cooler air advecting in from the west behind that cold front passage, and well, it's kind of a gloomy day today with that cloud cover, and we've seen our highs tumbling down throughout the afternoon and the evening. We'll take a look at that almanac. You'll notice that temperature, the high today, 64 degrees, seems a little warm. That was actually set at 1:39 this morning. So the temperatures have been falling throughout the morning hours, through the afternoon and into the evening. In our low 49 degrees, we're actually technically lower than that now in Quincy. So we are on a downslope in terms of those temperatures as we have cold air advection underway here in the tri-states. Look at that allergy index, moderate concentration of the mold spore and a low concentration of the weed pollen. Take it out to Macomb right now with those skies, still little clouds out there. Temperature is at 48 degrees, have fallen into the upper 40s. The wind a big factor. You can see it blowing around there in our weather view. Still out of the southwest right now at 21 miles per hour for you in Macomb. We'll check out the current conditions across the tri-states right now. We had warmer temperatures out to the eastern. Jacksonville, you saw a little bit more of the sunshine. Temperatures still in the lower 50s for our southern viewers. It's starting to drop out to the west, though. However, you can see in Kirksville where those clear skies are, temperature is now at 44 degrees. There is the satellite and radar. Some of these clouds starting to thin out a little bit, some showers off to the north, but I think we're going to stay dry for our area. And you could see, well, the last hints of that low pressure system moving off to the north gave us all that rain yesterday. That is going to go bye-bye, and we are going to see high pressure start to move into our area by, well, really overnight tonight as those skies clear out into tomorrow. And that will give us clear skies, see a lot more of the sunshine tomorrow. And the air will filter around clockwise around the high pressure. That's going to keep our air pretty cool tomorrow. Those highs will struggle to get up into the upper 40s, so a sunny but cooler day on tap for tomorrow. We're going to start to see clouds increase in advance of another low pressure system. This is going to be an interesting one. By Friday afternoon, could start to see some rain falling in our area, and the track of this low pressure is going to be very important for not only how much rain we see, but what type of precipitation, because we could be talking about a transition to snow by Friday night into Saturday morning. If this low pressure system moves further north, could just see a few rain showers in our area and nothing more. If the low pressure system moves further to the south, well, we're going to get into that heavier part of the snow. So it bears watching, and we'll update this as we go along. But right now, thinking that we'll see a transition to snow, especially for our northern viewers, maybe couple inches for our northern viewers right now, but again, the details are going to be worked out as we get closer to the event. By this weekend, it's going to bring in some cooler air. Regardless, we'll see highs only in the mid to upper 30s with maybe some lingering rain or snow showers behind the system Saturday morning. Lows tonight will get down into the low to mid 30s across the board here, and the highs tomorrow will get up only into the mid to maybe some upper 40s. Again, it's going to be a very cool but sunny day for your Thursday. And then Friday, here comes that low pressure system. Bears watching. Again, a lot's going to be dependent on the track. If it goes further south, we could see some higher accumulations of snowfall in our area. Again, the best chance right now for those higher accumulations are going to be for our northern viewers. Best chance for snow, regardless of whether it's going to be precipitation or not, as for our northern viewers as well. So stay tuned as we go forward here, and cooler here this weekend, and we'll go from there.
And make sure to bundle up.
Absolutely. You know, today turned into a very busy day on the college recruiting front, Chris.
A flurry of pen strokes and pledges coming your way today from Illini West, from Quincy High School, even one early from West Prairie. That story coming up next.
Now, from across the tri-states, this is KHQA Sports.
Western Illinois University volleyball coaches Kelly Richardson and Dan Brown have made no secret of their desire to better tap into the recruiting resources in their own backyard. And clearly, that wasn't just lip service. KHQA has learned that talented West Prairie sophomore middle hitter Peyton Bowman today gave the Leathernecks a verbal pledge to join the class of 2018. Obviously, verbal commitments are non-binding, but the fact that Western was on her this quickly and that she was so receptive speaks well to the inroads the staff has made locally. Bowman is a six-footer who enjoyed a spectacular campaign as a sophomore. More immediately, Jenna Bryan became the first local Leatherneck for the new regime in Macomb. Illini West held a signing ceremony today to recognize her Division I commitment. The 5'10" outside hitter is a 3-year starter in high school and as a senior led her team in kills, blocks, digs, and aces while helping lead the team to the best record in program history at 26-11. Well, more signing celebration fun in Carthage as Megan McElroy made good on her pledge to Central Michigan for track and field. Illini West's record holder in both the shot and the disc was originally being recruited by Olivet Nazarene, but when that team's coach got snatched away by the Chippewas, Megan was suddenly swimming in D1 waters.
I'm really trying to process it and be like, oh my goodness, I'm a Division I thrower. It's really an awesome opportunity that I can advance myself to a level, to a really high level. Last year, it did click, and I think the main reason is because I was working with Blaze and I was working with Winners, and they really helped me and they pushed me. We practiced 3, sometimes 5 days a week after school. We lifted, we did drills, we did everything to try and push ourselves because, Blaze wanted to do good for her senior season, and, your junior year is important too, and I wanted to make it to state, not making it to state sophomore year, and then I was like, I'm going to state, so.
Well, Quincy High School was also a popular stop on the recruiting trail where Wayne State came away calling from Nebraska on the Blue Devil baseball program looking for quality and maybe immediate infield help.
Didn't really know about it until my coach, Greg Gilbert, in the summer. We were in a Kansas City tournament, and he kind of pulled me aside, and he was like, this team is really interested in you. They really want to know more about you, and they'd like to have you out there, and that's kind of what sparked it. So, they told me basically that, I have a good chance at starting out at second base in freshman year. Other than that, basically it all depends on the fall and how I do in the fall. If I do it any well in the fall, it's just a matter of how I'll fit in. Playing time will come as it goes.
Yeah, there's a huge ceiling for him to reach. He's a player that can step in right away, second base, third base, somewhere in there. Probably hit 7, 8 in the lineup coming in his freshman year. If he does get some playing time, he'll eventually. Obviously, he's a well-built kid. He's going to continue to get bigger, stronger, and the arm strength the kid has is probably the biggest attribute that the coaches saw out of him was his arm strength and his quick bat. So he has a high ceiling. I look for great things. I think he's picked a great school where he can be successful at and get some playing time right away. And the sky's the limit for this kid.
I guess the biggest factor was the mental part. As Coach John said, I really developed.
That's going to do it for us here tonight, but sure hope you'll watch tonight for KHQA News at 10. We'll see you then.